Hey, it's Cava&Faulkner, Elk Grove in Sacramento's living trust and estate lawyer. Thanks for tuning into another edition of Catching Up with Christine. And today I wanted to talk about something that I think is super exciting and cool, especially for energetic business owners and individuals alike who are busy goal setting, as many of us are at the end of 2020, beginning of 2021 for our business goals, our personal goals. How to, after you've identified a strategy to get to your goal, how do you actually execute? I don't know if you're like me, but this last year has been a huge challenge in learning how to actually pull the trigger, right? Executing to propel us forward to get closer and meet our goals. So today I wanted to talk about how to execute your strategy. There is a book called The 4 Disciplines of Execution, or 4DX, Habit of Execution. Because let's face it, execution is far more difficult than the strategy that you put in place. It's actually doing it that is hard. Our brains are wired to procrastinate. So the 4 disciplines can have a really similar effect on personal goals or business goals. And this is really in the context and on the backdrop of all of us having many, many competing obligations. And so this is a way that we can effectively execute and drive ourselves forward to our goals. So number 1, focus on only the wildly important. So what does that mean? It means that you're going to have to take some time to really delve deeply into the top important goals to get you to where you want to be. What are the 3 things that you should focus on? Simplifying is the most important thing. So you should identify a small number of ambitious outcomes to pursue and have a specific goal returning tangible and substantial benefits, both professional or personal, is going to return a steady stream of enthusiasm. So what does that mean? It means we all have to have the energy to want to move these goals forward and execute on them. So the less we have to focus on, the more likely we are to actually have the energy and drive and interest in pursuing those very few but highly important goals that we have identified for ourselves. And that may be something that you choose to focus on daily. What are the top 3 matters that you need to execute on to help you reach your goal at the end of the week, at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter? If you want to win the war on attention and those many, many things that are vying for your attention, avoid saying no to all of the distractions in favor of saying yes to the thing that sparks your imagination and taps into that deep longing. That's going to crowd out everything else, and you can set a goal surrounding whatever that may be for you. For me, one of my big business goals is to publish a video, and it is challenging to both come up with a topic and do this consistently every day, to do the work behind these videos and to actually get on here every day and do them. So that's what is happening for me. That is one of my overarching goals that I am working towards committing to, executing on a regular basis. For me, that's 5 to 7 days a week. What is your overarching goal that requires many executions on a daily or weekly basis that you can simplify and identify the things that are going to keep you energized and interested to actually continue to do those things? Number 2, you need to measure your success. And there is what is called a lag measure, which measures what you're trying to improve. So say, for example, you're trying to improve customer satisfaction. The problem with lag measures is that it's too late you're measuring past behavior. If your customer satisfaction is not what you want it to be, you're looking back on past behavior. There is also what's called a lead measure. And lead measure turns attention to improving your new behaviors that you can directly control in the immediate future. So say, for example, you wanted to measure how many free samples you gave out in your bakery. That is something that you can both measure and also have a direct impact on right now, because if you are not satisfied with your lead measure, you can change it both now and in the future. Number 3, keep a compelling scorecard. So this is something that is discussed in detail in a book that I'm reading called Traction, which is about how to gain traction in your business to reach your big, hairy, outlandish goals. And keeping a scorecard is important for a number of reasons. Number 1, people play differently when you're keeping score. When you're trying to drive engagement either with yourself or with your team at work to and toward a compelling goal, it's really important to have a public place where that is recorded and tracks the lead measures that you've set in place to create a sense of competition, whether that's within yourself or on your team, because that's going to drive focus to the measures, but also to keep their attention on the measures, even when they have other things that are vying for their focus in their business or in personal life. This also is going to allow people to viscerally stay connected to their motivation, right? To stay on track. And they're also going to notice success with key measures, and they're going to become invested, or you're going to become invested in perpetuating their performance. So have you ever been trying to lose weight and you get fed up with not making progress, but then you start losing a pound or two and you start seeing that progress and you're energized to stay on track? Well, that's what we're talking about here, right? Making it public. You want to reinforce that feeling of success towards working towards measurable goals. And so having a scorecard where people can see it, they can compete, and they can get emotionally tied to the success is an important part of your reaching your overarching goals and having your team or you personally execute. So a great way to do that is to have something that you can see, whether that's having a scoreboard written on a whiteboard in your business, or keeping a calendar and ticking off your measurement every day so you actually see a visual of your progress. That will reinforce your desire to want to stay on track. I was listening to this book earlier where they were talking about Jerry Seinfeld committing to writing jokes every day, and that he would check off on his calendar every day when he had written jokes, and he could see visually that he was accomplishing his goal, or he was moving towards accomplishing his goal every day by committing to doing this every day and actually checking it off on his calendar. And the reinforcement propelled him to continue to do that. Number 4 is building a cadence of accountability. And so having a rhythm of regular meetings where you and your team confront the scoreboard, you commit to specific actions in these meetings, each and every one of your team members or you personally commit to an action to help improve the score prior to the next meeting. And also a willingness to have a candid discussion about what happened with commitments made at past meetings and why maybe those commitments were not kept. These kind of things can be short, but they have to occur regularly. And for an individual, you still need to have individual accountability, such as a weekly review of your week ahead, figuring out how you can ensure better scores in your ensuing weeks. And it's this discipline that the authors of 40X say where execution actually happens. So for those of us, me included, who have all these great, wildly ambitious ideas, but have a hard time committing to executing. I hope you have found the 4 disciplines of execution, or the 4DX habit of execution, helpful. I hope it helps you reach your goals in both your professional and personal lives. Subscribe to our channel if you like this content and you want to get more. Like our videos and put in the comments what you'd like to hear about. It's always a challenge for me to come up with something that I think is interesting and people would be willing to watch to the end. So yeah, leave this in your comments. Leave this in the comments what you'd like to hear about, and I would love to make videos on specific subjects that are of interest to you. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week for another edition of Catching Up with Christine. Bye-bye.